Welcome to RiaTalk, where we're always keeping it real about real life. And here's your host, Maria.
Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to Real Talk for real people. Let's talk.
Okay, let's talk. What are we getting into?
Today's podcast will be You Must Inspect What You Expect. I'm going to say it again. You must inspect what you expect. I got this little quote from my friend Joseph Porcher. We often talk in a very, I like to say, philosophical way. Him usually to me, but I also speak to him, and he gives me a lot of food for thought. And today I decided to use this quote: "You must inspect what you expect."
Okay.
You know, there's a few quotes. I'm going to go ahead and give you this quote. I'm going to give you about 3 quotes. And that way, it's going to inspire you. I'm warming you up. It's just like when you're in church, where in my church, and church is similar to mine, you have the praise team to get everybody warmed up. They get warmed up because they get ready for the message when the preacher get ready to preach. The praise team would have sung songs to get us more in a spiritual mood. So I'm going to give you these quotes. These quotes are like the praise team at the church. So here goes. When it's all about, you must inspect what you expect. According to Edward Deming, this is what he said: "You don't get what you expect, you get what you inspect." This is a reminder that systems don't improve by accident. They improve through attention. One of my favorites is by Ronald Reagan: "Trust but verify." Even in trust, there's room for accountability. Now, I want you to really think about this, because what did I just tell you? This is Maria's, one of her favorite, top 10 favorites. Trust but verify. And the second part to that is, in God, let's say it again, in God we trust. Everybody else must be greeted with a little bit of suspicion. And that's why we must inspect what we expect. You know, here's another one. What gets measured gets managed. And that is in every area of life. What gets measured? You want to lose weight? You must measure your goals. And not just your goal. When I say your goal, being specific, you must measure what you expect if you want to manage it. And that means getting on the scale once a week. You say you're going to work out 3 to 5 days a week. You must do that. And you must keep up with it. You must measure what you expect, and what gets measured gets managed. Number 4 is my absolute favorite. Faith without work is dead. According to James, the 2nd chapter in the 17th verse. Even in spiritual matters, expectations must be matched with actions. And as I said, that's faith without works is dead. And there's another scripture in the Bible that says, "Show me your work, and I will show you your faith." The last quote is, "Leadership is not about being in charge. It is about taking care of those in your charge." And this is one of my favorite speakers, Simon Sinek. He's one of my favorite speakers. I love listening to him. Now we're going to go back a little bit. We're doing things a little bit different tonight. I'm going to talk about segment 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to give you 4 segments here. And I'm going to give you the title. Segment 1, what does it mean to inspect what you expect. Segment 2, why does it matter? Why should you inspect what you expect? And here we go. We go to segment 3, and it's about the same thing. How to put it into practice. Now, we've gone to these 3 areas. I'm going to talk about it. Let's talk. This is like, let's talk about it. Let's talk. Do you have anything to say before I continue? Would you like to? Do you have any thoughts on it? Any questions?
No, let's go ahead and just dive right on in.
Okay. Here's the thing, Maria. I think I made this up. I think this is Maria's quote. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe. When I'm thinking about keeping my property, myself, things that I value protected, like under lock and key or some type of security measure, I'm not doing this for people who are unethical, but for people who are ethical. I like to call it keeping good Christian people, good Christian people. When temptation comes and they open that door and they see a lock is on that door, I'm helping my sisters and my brothers in the Lord, keeping good Christian people, good Christian people. And that is when you say, inspect what you expect. We're talking about accountability. It is not enough to set a standard, cast a vision, or delegate a task. You have to follow up. You have to check in. You have to look at what's being done and measure it against what you said you wanted. You know, once I ran into this problem with my assistant, and I take full responsibility for it. I did not do those things. I did not follow up. I gave her an assignment, and because I was looking at her resume only, I expected that she would get the job done. But I failed to inspect what I expected. I didn't follow up, and therefore she disappointed me. She was just free. I didn't want to be a micromanager. That's really what it is. And that is not microman. I've since learned that it's not micromanaging. You must inspect what you expect. And you can that way you give a person the time to grow and really be more clear on what you expect by inspecting. That is whether you leading a team, raising a family, running a business, or advocating for your community. Expectations without inspection leads to inconsistency. And inconsistency erodes trust. Think about it. If you expect excellence, but never check the work, you're not leading, you're hoping. And hope is not a strategy. What did I say? Hope is not a strategy. Like I told you with my assistant, I take full responsibility for it. I did not inspect. I made an assumption that she knew what I wanted, even though I told her. But along the way, I should have checked in. I should have checked in to make sure to inspect what I expected. So I didn't do that, and I didn't get what I expected. And it caused problems. Segment 2, why it matters. Inspection isn't about micromanaging, as I said earlier. I felt like, okay, she says she has this experience, and I'm sure she does. So I'm just going to get out of the way and let the girl do her thing. Say it again. I was going to get out of the way and let the girl do her thing. But that's not the best way of doing it. Inspection isn't about micromanaging. It's about stewardship. It's about honoring the vision that you set by making sure it's been carried out with integrity and with clarity. And again, this is a very good example. I didn't inspect, and so I didn't get what I expected. There you go. Now, and here's the truth. People do what you expect. I apologize. People don't do what you expect. They do what you inspect. If they know that you're going to check them, they're going to be more careful in their preparation of the goal of what they have been assigned. But when they don't have any expectation that you're going to inspect, they have to go on their own thoughts of how they've done it in the past. And people can't read your mind, even though you may give them an assignment. It's personal to how you want it done. That's just in the business world. Accountability creates alignment. That means when you know that I'm going to inspect it, you may come into my office as my assistant and say, hey, is this the way you want it? Or maybe I say, hey, let me look at the documents. Let me look at your progress. So you don't come to the end of what you were doing and it's not what I expected. And like I said, I took full responsibility because I didn't inspect. Before she came to the end of the project, I should have inspected it so I could get what I expected. Let's do this. You remember I talked about those 5 quotes. I mean, I am not going to give you 5 quotes again, but I am going to revisit some of those quotes. You remember when I said what gets measured gets managed, and I am a true believer in that. What gets measured, like I always say, you have to quantify. That's another word for it. You have to quantify what you're doing. That means you got to track it. You got to track it. If it matters, track it. If you track it, it matters. If you track it, you can improve on it. And it's again, action. Expectation must be matched with actions and evidence. And part of taking care is making sure the mission is on track. If there's a mission for weight loss, if it's a mission for to grow your business, you must inspect. You need to know where you are in this process. The mission is on track. If you are, and it will stay on track if you inspect. And that's taking care to inspect, to make sure the vision is where it should be. How to put this in practice? How would you put this in practice? Well, let me give you a little guidance. Number one, set clear expectations. Be specific. Vague goals lead to vague results. Now, like I said, this is the way you can put it into practice. I'm going to be clear again. Set clear expectation. I want to lose 50 pounds by 6 months, a year. How much should I lose every week? How can I lose this weight? You got to watch your food and you got to move your body. You must set, I'm going to that gym 3 to 5 times, maybe even 7 times a week. I'm definitely going to stay away from sugar, alcohol, sodas, sugary things. You know, just you're setting yourself up for success. Be specific. Don't just say, I'm going to lose weight. No, you got to, how are you going to do it? What road, what map? You got to have a map. What road you going to take? It's just like going on a trip. I'm going to New York from California. How are you going to get there? You know, you can't just say, I'm just going to start walking. No, you got to have a plan. This is what you need to do to put it in practice. Create checkpoints. See, I just talked about that. When you have been doing, just say you're trying to lose weight, most everybody's trying to lose weight. You should check in weekly. Get on a scale once a week. I personally, I'm trying to lose weight, so I have an app, and I always record what I eat: breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I try not to have snacks. But when I have snacks, if it's closer to lunch, I'm going to include it into my lunch app, the app that tells me to record what I've eaten for lunch. And if I had a snack in between breakfast and lunch, it will apply to my lunch. You must inspect what you expect. That app tells me how many calories I burn that day, and it's going to give me a weekly and a monthly. That it is giving me feedback. Am I on goal? It gives me feedback. Inspection isn't just about catching mistakes, it's about coaching, encouraging, and correcting the course. Like if you're on your way again, I love road maps, to New York, and you've been walking or driving for a few hours and you haven't checked your map, your guidance, your Google map, and you just been having your conversation, you may be on the wrong path, but you can correct yourself. You got to look. Oh, let me check. I've been driving for an hour or so now. I need to make sure I'm where I should be. That's inspecting what you expect, because you expect to be in New York in a day or so. So when my friend Joseph gave me this quote, I loved it because it reminded me of what I'm already doing. And also, not just what I'm already doing, but what I still need to continue to do. I love that part about the checkpoints. You must inspect what you expect, but before you reach the expectation in the end of your journey, you got to have checkpoints in between. So what say you? Do you have anything to speak to say to the audience?
I don't. I just think this is a interesting topic. Um, I never thought about that. Like how I really like what you said, accountability creates alignment. I think uh that is something that's overlooked a lot of the time. You're taking accountability, like being hard on yourself. A lot of people interpret it as that. And actually, in reality, it does create alignment because you don't know if you don't know.
They say you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
That's why you have to inspect, and that's why you have to have checkpoints. Because I have had this happen to me often in my weight loss journey. I think that I'm on task, I'm on point, and I get on a scale and I've gained weight. Like, what happened? When that happens and you don't know what happened, that's because you're not tracking. You're not inspecting what you expect. If you do this daily, as far as doing your recording, what's going into your mouth, it's going to give you a weekly result. Going to the gym at least 3 to 5 days a week, you're gonna something is going to happen. And as you check it, you can make realignment, readjustments, checkpoints, inspecting what you expect.
Okay, that's it for this week. Are you are I challenge you guys. Revisit your expectations and ask yourself, am I inspecting what I'm expecting? We'd like to hear your thoughts. If you like, please share or comment below here or on our Instagram account at RiaTalk. We're growing, guys. You can find this podcast on all podcast platforms. Just search for RiaTalk. And lastly, please like, share, and subscribe to RiaTalk, and we will see you next week.